December 1937. Across the Pacific, flames rise over China. Cities burn, civilians flee, and thousands of miles away in Washington, D.C., a growing storm is being watched with unease. The Empire of Japan is expanding. What began as an invasion of Manchuria in 1931 has turned into a full-scale war against China. Japanese forces push deeper into the mainland, determined to carve out an empire. But this expansion does not go unnoticed, especially not in the United States. American newspapers carry horrifying headlines. Photographs of bombed cities stir outrage. Public opinion begins to shift. The American people are alarmed, yet the country remains deeply divided. President Franklin D. Roosevelt understands the danger. He fears Japan's ambitions stretch far beyond China. If unchecked, Japan could strike Hong Kong, sweep through Southeast Asia, even threaten the Philippines, a U.S. territory at the time. But America in the 1930s is cautious. Scarred by the First World War and trapped in the Great Depression, many Americans demand isolation. No more foreign wars, no more overseas entanglements. Meanwhile, the international community attempts to respond. The League of Nations formally condemns Japan's aggression, but condemnation without enforcement is powerless. No military action follows. No serious consequences are imposed. Japan continues forward. Then comes December 12, 1937. Japanese aircraft attack and sink the American gunboat USS Panay on the Yangtze River. Several Americans are injured. British ships are also attacked. For a moment, war seems possible. President Roosevelt considers a bold move, a joint Anglo-American naval blockade against Japan. Such a blockade could choke Japan's access to vital supplies, but it would also risk immediate war, and the American public is not ready. Isolationist sentiment dominates Congress. Many accuse Roosevelt of trying to drag the nation into another foreign conflict. Reluctantly, the president steps back. Japan issues apologies. Tensions cool, temporarily. But beneath the surface, the conflict deepens. Throughout the late 1930s, Japan's war in China drains resources. The empire lacks oil, rubber, iron, the raw materials needed for modern warfare, and Japan has few natural reserves of its own. Meanwhile, the United States begins applying pressure. In 1940, America imposes restrictions on exports to Japan. Key materials, aviation fuel, scrap metal, are limited. It is a warning. Japan responds not by retreating, but by expanding further. In 1941, after Japanese forces move into French Indochina, the United States escalates dramatically. Washington freezes Japanese assets and imposes severe economic sanctions. Most critically, oil exports are cut off. The impact is immediate. Japan imports nearly 80% of its oil, much of it from the United States. Without oil, the Japanese Navy cannot sail, aircraft cannot fly, industry grinds to a halt. Inside Tokyo, leaders face a brutal reality: retreat from China and abandon imperial ambitions, or seize the resources by force. They choose force. Japanese strategists look south. Southeast Asia is rich in oil and rubber. The Dutch East Indies hold vast petroleum reserves. British Malaya and Singapore control vital trade routes. But there is a problem. The United States maintains powerful positions across the Pacific. American territories include American Samoa, Guam, Hawaii, the Philippines, and Wake Island. British holdings include Burma, now known as Myanmar, Hong Kong, Malaya, and Singapore.
Any southern expansion would inevitably provoke the United States and Britain. Still, Japanese leaders believe speed and surprise could neutralize American power before it fully mobilizes. Time is running out. Diplomatic negotiations between Washington and Japan continue through 1941, but both sides are entrenched. The United States demands withdrawal from China. Japan refuses. Behind closed doors, war plans are finalized. The logic becomes cold and calculated. Strike first. Cripple the American Pacific Fleet. Seize Southeast Asia. Fortify a defensive perimeter before the United States can respond. The Pacific stands on the edge. What began as aggression in Manchuria has evolved into a geopolitical showdown between rising empire and global power. Sanctions, pride, fear, resources. Each decision pushes the world closer to catastrophe. By late 1941, the path to conflict is nearly irreversible. The Pacific is no longer a distant theater. It is the epicenter of a coming war. And within weeks, history will change forever.